Greetings, for the Watford fans. Omar here, and it's time for the YouOrns 10-minute take on Watford 1, Burnley nil, top of the league, Watford after 3 games. I know it is early doors, but you've got to say, this is a much better position to be in than what we were in at this time last season. Watford winning 2 of the first 3 games, both of those wins at home. Yes, both of those wins at home in the league. Both shutouts, clean sheets, 1-0s. We love it. We love it. We love a 1-0, don't we? We scored 1 goal in each of the first 3 games. And this game tonight against Burnley, it was a game, well, Burnley had their chance the second half. Burnley actually were the better side in the first 20 minutes. They enjoyed the lion's share of possession overall, and they were frequently attacking the Watford half in the first half. But then after the 25th minute or so, Watford began to grow into the game. And then they made their growing into the game count for something in the second minute of injury time in the first half. It was a ball from Ken Sema who cut the ball back from his right wing side. And that ball found a space for Tom Cleverley to run into. He was first to it and he slotted the ball home past the Burnley goalkeeper. 1-0 Watford led at the half. Tom Cleverley sustained a slight injury to his knee, I think a cut or something like that, and he was subbed off at half time. Dan Gosling came in for Watford in to start the second half off. And Watford reverted to what we've seen so far in this season and actually for much of last season, sitting on a 1-0 lead and defending deep. And it was that defending deep that cost Watford as Burnley continued to go in on Watford's defense and continue to assault the channels as well. And it was something that Watford did not learn from because the deep defending ended up costing Watford a man as Hassan Kamara committed the red card offense to stop his man Vitinho from getting past him for a goal scoring opportunity, perhaps because he was really in on goal with Vitinho. And that particular mistake from Kamara really was as a result of Watford's deep defending. And that cost Watford a man. But thankfully, it didn't cost them the lead because although Hassan Kamara committed the ultimate sacrifice in that sense, at least game wise, to extend himself off the pitch, I should say, it was not a lost cause for Watford because a number of people made the win tonight possible. First of all, Daniel Backman, who made excellent save after excellent save in the last 15 or so minutes to win man of the match, because clearly that is what he was in this performance. But very close behind him was Hamza Chowdhury, who made his Watford debut impressively in midfield. He was excellent tonight, was a stalwart in that middle of the park. That's exactly what we need. A guy that brought tackles and brought endeavor and brought hustle and brought a lot of grit in what was a physical game. And it really was determined by that midfield, as I thought it would be. That midfield was the battle that Watford ended up winning, thanks almost single-handedly in some ways to Chowdhury. But I can't forget Tom Cleverley. Tom Cleverley played particularly well tonight in his performance, his best Watford performance for quite some time. And we have been hoping that Cleverley would do something better. Many of us, myself included, did not fancy him starting these games, but tonight we were all proved wrong, at least for this one night, because he did play very well indeed before he scored the goal. And then I think that a lot of things that happened for Cleverley to play well was his endeavor and his renewed spirit. He's always been up for a game, but he has not always been up in the midfield battle because he's been routinely bossed off the ball, particularly a few days ago at West Brom. But on his birthday, he would not be denied. He played well. I think that Rob Edwards had him in an advanced role in that midfield. He moved a bit further up the pitch than he had been usually. And I think that worked to a T tonight. I think Rob Edwards got pretty much everything right balance wise. I like the fact that Cameron returned to the left side of the park, even though, of course, he did end up getting sent off. But I liked the formation. That it was more of a 4-3-3, something that we'd seen a lot more of last season. And this time we saw a more sturdy midfield. And I think Tom Cleverley, I think, was bolstered actually by Hamza Chowdhury's presence. I think that really spurred Cleverley on. And his energy tonight was much, much better, Cleverley's. And again, he found the back of the net too. And as I said, I think that what you saw, Edwards pushed Cleverley up in a more advanced midfield role, and it showed. And Cleverley was the beneficiary tonight with that goal. A really good goal in the end because Sema did well to come and cut that ball back. Sema, I think, had a good game tonight, and he wasn't great, but I think that there were moments where Ken Sema absolutely sparkled. He worked very hard, as did a number of other Watford players, and that's the difference. You saw a more hard-working Watford team as a team on the pitch. You saw that much more than you did, of course, against West Brom the other night. A Watford side that looked like they cared about winning this game, cared about wanting to play, cared about wanting to execute what the manager had demanded of them, and who were on the same page tonight. Some other new additions who came in and who started. We saw Gaspar tonight. I didn't think Gaspar had the particularly great game, but I don't think he did any harm to Watford. He'll obviously have to grow to the pace of the championship and the physical demands that it has. There were a few stray balls from Gaspar, but otherwise, I mean, a quiet debut. I'm sure he'll be better than he was tonight in future games going forward. I probably wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if Ngakia plays a role at some point soon on the right back side until I think Gaspar gets up to speed entirely. But you can also say a good debut. I can say a good debut tonight for Aspria. I thought Yasser Aspria was very lively, very sharp, very energetic. He brought something different in his attacking midfield role, although he came in at a time when Watford were down to 10 men. I thought he was particularly bright. In fact, he didn't come in when they were down to 10. I think he came in just before they went down to 10 men, if I'm not mistaken. But Aspria was a bright spark, and I think a live wire. Look forward to seeing more from him coming up in these games. He'll play an important role, I think, in some of these games for sure. And generally speaking, I thought that Bakun Bayo, who came into this game, I think he worked hard enough. Didn't have a lot to do because, again, I think he came in when it was 10 men or thereabouts. So he's not really going to get a lot to do. He's going to defend, and he did defend very well in a critical moment late in the game where he cleared the ball off the goal line. He thumped the ball upfield. That was an authoritative clearance from Bayo. The most important contribution from him, if it may have been the only notable one, but it was a massive one. And there was also one other contribution that will not go unnoticed by me. The fans, the Watford faithful, you who were there at the Vic, who shouted and cheered on your Orns, who did an excellent job those last 15 minutes, in particular, getting the lads over the line with your fervent support for the lads. I think a man of the match, a person of the match award has to go to you as well, because you all were there at the Vic, did an immense job of getting the lads over the line with your support. They definitely responded to that, and everybody chipped in. It was a real team performance tonight in those last 15 to 20 minutes of the game. And I think overall, Watford now top of the table without really playing well in most of the last, certainly these last two games, played well against Sheffield United to open up with, but not particularly well, of course, at West Brom. We know that. And then they played really poorly and retreated to defending a 1-0 in this game against Burnley. But to be top of the table, early doors no less, after 3 games, without even playing close to your best football the last 2 games, well, the future is looking very bright for this Watford team and for Rob Edwards, the manager, as I said, who I think got pretty much everything right in the game tonight. Also, look, keep in mind there's some more Watford players coming in. Keenan Davis was at the game tonight at the Vic, so expect him to be announced very shortly by Watford on official bases. And don't forget, even though we lost Emmanuel Dennis, I think we've got a very good future ahead with what we've got and who we've got. And we will probably be going in for certainly a left-sided left centre back. The rumors are Courtney Howes will be a Watford player at some point. That's something that is being talked about. There's certainly Watford are pursuing him, and Howes could well be in a Watford shirt in the next few weeks, certainly by the transfer window deadline. And you've also got to look possibly at another defender coming in as well for Watford. We'll see about it, but Watford definitely now not even close to the finished article yet, and they're already top of the table after just 3 games. An encouraged performance in the end. In the championship, it's not about flair, it's about grit. It's about getting the job done, even when you're not at your best. It's about persevering, it's about fighting, and it's about team spirit and physicality. And we got all of those things tonight from a number of Watford players, but also a big shout out to Francisco Sierralta. I thought he defended particularly well tonight. And you saw that back four look a lot more stabilized with that 4-3-3 formation that Rob Edwards put in than they did against West Brom. But Sierralta in particular, I thought, was very, very good tonight at the back. And Cathcart did what he had to do as well. So look, I think overall, Watford getting the balance right. There's still things to improve upon, but hey, 3 points are 3 points. And at this early stage of the season, 2 wins and 1 draw, not a bad way to start. This has been the YouOrns 10-minute take.